You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We are about to get started with our Friday review this week. This was by special request. We've gotten quite a number of emails asking, are there any weight loss supplements or weight loss products you would recommend that can give you a little bit extra boost in the body transformation department, meaning like losing some belly fat or just losing some weight on the hips, whatever it might be? And can you get that through a pill? Are there any actual research-based, science-based supplements out there? So what I wanted to do today was just take a really objective look at some of the most popular ingredients and popular products that could help you potentially to lose a little bit more body fat, to give you a little bit more of a boost if you're already exercising and eating fairly well. Now, here's the thing, and I do want to make this caveat right up front, just in case that we don't, make sure that what I'm saying today is not necessarily promoting a lot of supplements when it comes to weight loss. And here's why. The majority of studies that you see that are done on weight loss supplements are often done with people who are already then being calorically restricted, meaning they're taking their calories down to 1,200, 1,400, maybe 2,000, something like that, but there's a reduction in calories. Some of them start an exercise program and some don't, meaning like in the research, real objective-based studies. But typically there's something at least walking or there's some type of physical element to it. Very rarely is there a study done where a person doesn't change anything and takes a weight loss pill or a weight loss supplement. And here's why. All of those studies, almost across the board, nothing happens at all. Legitimately, like there's no weight loss, nothing changes. And the reason is there's no real pill that's going to overpower any of those things. Now, there's a couple exceptions, and I'll share with you why, because it's how weight loss supplements can work. So before we get into that, though, here are the prerequisites if you're thinking about using a weight loss nutritional supplement. All right, here's what we have to do first. First, we have to get our nutrition on par with healthy eating, meaning that, again, in my opinion, eating something detoxifying, cleansing for the body, like a smoothie in the morning, using low glycemic fruit, using veggies in there like spinach, doing a little bit of healthy fat, such as chia seeds or flax seeds, whatever it might be, and then using something like an all-in-one powder. So you're getting your multivitamin, you're getting your protein, you're getting good stuff in there that's going to help regulate those blood sugar levels to a greater degree. Okay. After that, if you're looking for a second thing to do, you're going to start an exercise routine. Now, I can't recommend enough tuning into yesterday's show. I literally took everyone from beginner to intermediate to advanced on what they should be doing and how they should be ramping up their workouts in terms of progressing and getting better results. And then when you've maxed that out, then I would start adding in what I call, good first tier supplements, which would be a greens powder. We use our daily fruit and vegetable blend that's going to give your body the antioxidants that it needs. That helps with weight loss, and it's going to give your body the satiation of getting all the minerals that it needs as well from a whole food perspective, because a greens powder, a good one, is not going to contain any extras, no added fillers, and it's going to be, like ours is 22 organic fruits and vegetables. Your body's going to soak that up in terms of nutrition. Okay, the third thing I would do is then a probiotic, and the reason I would use a probiotic, something like the Clean Gut Probiotic, to help to clean out yeast and bacteria, but also then moving on to something like the daily probiotic support for daily use. Why? Because you've heard me say on a previous Weight Loss Wednesday show that Bacteroides, which is one of the bacteria inside of the gut, as well as Firmicutes, helps to regulate blood sugar, helps to regulate weight loss in the body. So there's a lot of studies on that now, meaning that people who are able to lose weight at a greater degree have better microbiome, so the microbiome, the gut microbiome, a more balanced flora. So it has better balanced bacteria. That's basically it. So first I would do a multi, all-in-one, or powder, whatever you want to do. And that's going to allow you to make sure you get all of your vitamins that you need, minerals that you need. Then I would do a greens powder, and that will give you all of the whole food, deep green nutrition that your body needs. And also it has a little detoxification power as well, because you're getting chlorella and spirulina and all your reds and blues and greens and all your colors of the rainbow. So that's what I recommend. And then I would recommend your daily probiotic support. So you can get all of those for under $5 a day. Choose your favorite vendor, whatever you would like to do. I have something called my Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol. It's what I use myself on a daily basis, what my friends, my family use, and of course, people inside of my practice, they're trying to maintain their great results. So that's under $5 a day. I can't recommend that enough. And then if you're looking to take it to that next level, okay, then we could start talking about actual weight loss specific supplements. But remember, only after you're already doing all the healthy eating for yourself, because again, don't waste your money on extra weight loss supplements, which might cost anywhere from like $30 to $60 a month if you're not already doing the regular stuff, your foundational support first, because you're not going to get results. So I'm just trying to save you money on that aspect. Now, how do weight loss supplements work? Well, they work essentially in about 3 to 4 different ways. One is they can reduce your appetite. Okay, so if you can reduce your appetite, you're more likely to eat less calories. You're more likely to have less food cravings, and that, of course, is going to help because now you're not going to eat as many calories. All right. The second is they can actually stimulate your fat-burning metabolism. And you'll see with a few of them, what they can do is they can actually increase a hormone called adiponectin. And if we can increase those levels, well, we can turn on more fat-burning hormones. And a third way is that we can actually help to better regulate blood sugar. And that's really important because a lot of these fruits or flowers or Ayurvedic herbs, whatever it might be, you'll actually see they're also used with type 2 diabetes. And that makes sense because if we're trying to level back out blood sugar, well, that's going to help in order to, yes, calm food cravings, but more so, if you have high levels of sugar in your blood, well, you're not going to be able to then conversely tap into burning body fat. Because if your body has plenty of sugar to burn, it's going to use that and it's not going to be down-regulated enough to actually be able to burn body fat. Okay, so we can look at it from a simple oxidation perspective. Sugar high, can't burn body fat. Sugar's low, we're going to tap into body fat. And that's what these particular nutritional supplements can do. So again, once you've gotten your nutrition pretty good, once you've been walking your 10,000 steps per day, once you've been ramping up your exercises to at least 2 days per week, then we can maybe look into some of these, again, third tier, what I would call them third tier supplements. Okay, so what are some of those supplements? Well, the first one, plain and simple, this one's been popular now for about 5 years. In my opinion, it's really been played out, but it was super, super hot about 5 years ago, up until maybe about 2 years ago. And that's called Garcinia Cambogia extract. And what it is it's a green fruit. Again, it's been everywhere, all over the news before. And there were, of course, all these different knockoffs that you could get on Amazon. Absolutely one of the most popular products out there. A fairly inexpensive product as well. People just mark it up to very, very high levels. And it's a fruit that's very high in antioxidants. So it contains something called hydroxycitric acid, or just HCA for short. And one of the great things I think about this supplement, where it could actually be used, again, all of these can be used outside of the weight loss realm, is that it's been shown to increase levels of serotonin. And when you increase levels of serotonin, well, then you might be able to then reduce food cravings. So the interesting thing, again, and I'll say that a lot, I always find these things interesting, is that most of these nutritional supplements, when looked at versus the placebo, can help people lose anywhere from about a half a pound to 1 pound per week. Now, 1 pound would actually be a lot. Most of these weight loss pills, when used against a placebo, if everyone really is kept in check with eating the same amount of calories, doing the same amount of movement, it looks like about 2 pounds over the course of a month for a lot of these products. And Garcinia Cambogia fits right in line with that. So can it help you lose weight? Yes, it can. And again, these are short-term based use. You certainly wouldn't be using these for the rest of your life. But maybe, like I said, once you've been eating well, once you're doing something like the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol, which is just, again, your activated multi or your daily all-in-one, it's called your daily nutritional support shake, your greens powder, your probiotic, that's your foundation. You have to do that first. Then you could add in some of these and then just maintain maintain, of course. But after you plateau, you might want to add more. Okay, so that's one. And again, a little bit of effects there as well. Antioxidants, not really in terms of fat stimulation, but more reducing appetite, curbing cravings. All right. So what else do we have next? Well, we have something called red raspberry ketones. Now, red raspberry ketones actually became popular. This is actually probably about 3 to 5 years old as well in terms of its popularity. And what they were looking for, this was done strictly in rat-based studies because in human studies, we haven't seen any evidence. But at least in rat studies, using very large dosages, we've actually seen some reduction in weight. And that's because it has been able to elevate a fat-burning hormone, again, called adiponectin. And if we can increase adiponectin, well, there is some tie to oxidizing fat cells. So right now, although I don't see it as potentially harmful, what I do see though is not a large amount of effect. Could it be used as kind of an added substrate or added component of another nutritional weight loss product? Sure, but right now, not a lot of weight loss seen in clinical studies. So my goal today is just to show you what works best. All right, the next one I want to share with you is something called green coffee bean extract. Now, there is actually some decent studies behind green coffee bean extract. And here's why. It contains something called chlorogenic acid. And what that is essentially an ester. So it's a substrate of caffeic and quinic acid. And what it does is it actually helps to stimulate by a process of an antioxidant to lower glucose after a meal. So what happens is it helps you better regulate hyperglycemia or the blood sugar getting too high. Now, it does have a few other effects. So it has a few of the same other effects that you would get actually from caffeine. And so that's one of the other nice things about this particular product is that it can help to slow the release of carbohydrates or sugar after a meal so that it doesn't get blood sugar as high as it normally would. And it also can help to stimulate fat burning in and of its own right, as well as lower blood pressure. So again, there's some real evidence behind green coffee bean extract. There's a few side effects, meaning like it can increase anxiety a little bit. It might cause diarrhea. So we have to look at some of those side effects, which I'm going to give at the end for all the products. So just make sure that you cover all your bases. But it's a product that I'm not completely against. So there's moderate weight loss somewhere around. So the average of 3 main studies that were looked at was there was a weight loss of about 5.4 pounds in just about 2 months. So what are we looking at there? Well, again, somewhere about a half a pound of weight loss per week on top of what you may already be getting just from regular nutrition and exercise. So a little bit of effect in weight loss. But again, if you're looking for the 3 to 5 pounds of extra weight loss per month, meaning like on top of what you're already doing, most likely not going to be there. Somewhere around 1 to 2 pounds extra per month you might get from a product like green coffee bean extract, but worth looking into. All right, up next is I want to share with you some of the more effective ways to lose weight using nutritional supplements. Now, little caveat is that these next 3 or 4 products that I'm about to tell you about all work by stimulating the metabolism, by stimulating the fight or flight based response in your nervous system. So we know by stimulating that response, we stimulate adrenaline, and we increase norepinephrine, and we increase cortisol typically. Now, when we do that, we can get, at least in the short term, a fat burning effect because your body now is going to look at actually using glucose to be used for the fight or flight response or the sympathetic nervous system response. So it can help lower blood sugar, so better regulate blood sugar. It can vasodilate the body. It can give the body more of an increase in dopamine, more of an increase in energy, and therefore there might be more energy output as well, meaning like you might be more apt to exercise. It can also stimulate certain fat burning hormones. So again, in the short term, what are we talking about? We're talking about caffeine. So caffeine works as the main constitute of many of these weight loss products. And the reason, again, is very, very simple for what I just talked about before. You're getting more of that sympathetic nervous system push. It's also one of the reasons why ectomorph body types are ectomorphic body types, is they're running more on that norepinephrine. They're running more on the adrenaline. They're running more on the cortisol, which is the sympathetic nervous system. So they burn through calories at a much faster rate, which means they can eat the same amount of calories as their counterparts, and their counterpart might gain weight. They might lose weight. They're just more stimulated from a metabolic perspective. Well, I just want to let you know that most of these studies and most of these products, so let me just want to name the products for you. One of them is called Hydroxycut. And one of the reasons why Hydroxycut works isn't because of all the little added extras in there. So let me just read you what's in Hydroxycut. There's papaya, there's blackberry, there's saffron, there's makai, and there's amla. Now, these are all nice berries and fruits. Those essentially are what those are. Herb such as saffron. Now, again, those things that I just named can act as enzymes. They can act as actual blood sugar stabilizers, like saffron right there. Saffron is actually, and a lot of people don't know this, but saffron is actually pretty good for type 2 diabetes, no doubt about it. And amla, well, a really powerful antioxidant that I used quite a bit when I was over in India as something that's very high in vitamin C, also used too in blood sugar regulation. Okay, so we have these nice fruits that can be used for some blood sugar regulation, but the main way that Hydroxycut works, and it's worked for many, many years now, is that it has 200 milligrams of caffeine. So a lot of people are using these Hydroxycuts once or twice a day. Well, if you're using it once a day, it could replace your coffee in the morning, right? Because, well, 200 milligrams, what is that? Well, if you look at a tall Starbucks coffee, that's their small one, that is about 275 milligrams of caffeine. And if you look at something like a Dunkin' Donuts small, it has about 145 milligrams. So it's right in between those two. Now you can see why so many people are addicted to Starbucks coffee is because it's so high in caffeine. So high in caffeine. Now, the maximum amount that most people should take in for caffeine on a daily basis is 200 to 300 milligrams. But people taking Hydroxycut sometimes use this twice a day. That's part of the Hydroxycut standard is 2 caplets twice daily. Now that's 400 milligrams of caffeine. So you can understand why the side effects might be insomnia, sleeplessness, jitteriness, anxiety, all of those things. So again, if you're using Hydroxycut, just be careful of those side effects. And in my opinion, you certainly would not want to use drinking coffee plus Hydroxycut. That's just too much caffeine, in my opinion. Okay, so what else is there that contains caffeine? And that would be green tea extract. In my opinion, green tea extract would be a better choice. Why? Well, because you're getting the EGCG benefit as the main antioxidant. So it's a very powerful antioxidant that's used in anti-cancer, that's used in actual detoxification of the liver. It helps to aid in fat burning as well. But you're also getting the increase in that norepinephrine, which helps you burn body fat. And again, that's coming from caffeine as well. Now, there are some green tea extracts that are caffeine-free. The caffeine-free ones may not help as much with the fat burning. They're still going to help some, but more beneficial, in my opinion, in terms of overall health and longevity. So again, you have to just make sure you're not caffeine sensitive. And of course, if you didn't want to use green tea extract, you could actually drink green tea as well. That would be totally fine. All right, then there's also just straight caffeine. So again, most of these fat burning supplements, in one way or another, you're going to see that caffeine is added. Now, if you want to save your money, what you could do is you could simply have a cup of black coffee, ideally an organic coffee. I've spoken about recommended brands in the past. You can go back to previous Friday reviews, but you can use an organic coffee. Keep in mind, about an 8-ounce cup of coffee, black coffee, is going to be somewhere between 150 or 100, depending if it's just weak coffee, and 300 milligrams of caffeine. Again, with most of them being about 150 to 200 milligrams of caffeine, just for a small 8-ounce mug of coffee. If you go up to 12, you're going to be at around 200 to 300, and then up from there. So that right there, taken 30 minutes before a workout, can certainly stimulate fat burning. And that's been shown over and over in clinical studies. But again, how much more body fat are you going to burn using any of these products? About a half a pound to 1 pound per week maximum, with most of them weighing in at around about a half a pound or 2 pounds per month, or about 5 pounds over the course of 8 to 12 weeks. Again, most of them show about 5 pounds over the course of 8 to 12 weeks. Okay, so not incredible, but also not bad. Not a bad little uptick if you're looking to burn more body fat. And I would like to go over 2 more with you today. One is glucosamine. Glucosamine is actually It's totally different than the rest. And the reason is, this is something that I've looked at in the past. I want to do a special show on it in the future, but it's nicknamed elephant yams. I love the reasoning behind that. And if you look at it, it's actually just the konjac plant. These are huge plants that grow. They grow in Asia, they grow in other parts of the world. And it's actually been shown to help people lose 8 pounds in even a shorter period of time, 8 to 10 pounds in some clinical studies. And the reason is that it actually binds up. So it turns into a gel and it binds up carbohydrates, sugars from this fiber, but it also increases the feelings of satiety. So you're not feeling as hungry when it comes to a meal. So typically you're taking this glucosamine about 30 minutes before a meal. It's improving how full you do feel, so you're less likely to eat foods. My problem with products like this is that they can bind up vitamins along with that. So in the short term, could it help? Sure, but I certainly wouldn't be wanting to use this before meal at all times, because it can certainly bind up a lot of those good nutrients that we do need. The other thing about glucosamine that a lot of people don't share with you is that it's actually a prebiotic. So there's a fair amount of people out there getting bloating, that are getting flatulence, that are getting loose stool. Keep in mind, if you have candida overgrowth, if you have bacterial overgrowth like SIBO or IBS, it might not be the product for you, because until you remove the yeast overgrowth or the bacterial overgrowth, well, this is going to feed that yeast and feed that bacteria. My recommendation is, if you're thinking about using a product like this, simply run an organic acids test first to see if you have candida overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth. That would be a better first step, in my opinion. But I want to share a little bit more about this from a health perspective in the future. So definitely tune in for a Friday review on glucosamine in the future, or elephant yams, as I like to call them. So the last product is called Meritrim, has become popular over the last couple of years. So why has Meritrim become popular? The reason is there's actually some science behind it. After about 2 months, we're seeing anywhere from 8 to 11 pounds of weight loss. Clinical studies are coming in at about 1 pound of weight loss per week, up to about 8 pounds to 11 pounds, and about 2 inches off people's waistline in that same period of time. Now, why is this important? Well, I like to look at this as like, why would this product work? Now, Meritrim is just the name of an actual nutritional supplement that contains 2 specific Ayurvedic herbs and fruits, actually. So the one thing is, I always like to say, like, okay, was this being used before? Sure. So basically, there's 2 products. One is a flower. It's a very beautiful flower. It looks like it's part of the thistle family. So it's East Indian thistle. It's part of like the milk thistle based family. It looks very, very similar. It's a big purple, I shouldn't say that. It's about the size of a quarter. It's a beautiful little herb flower that grows in the wild, and it's been shown to have anti-inflammatory based effects. It's also a very powerful antioxidant. It helps with things like psoriasis, and so a really good, powerful potential immune regulator as well. And then you have something called Garcinia mangostana or mangostana, which is part of the mangosteen family, and it's called purple mangosteen. And this has always been used in Ayurvedic medicine as well as traditional Chinese medicine. It's a very powerful anti-cancer fruit. It's a very powerful fruit in terms of regulating blood sugar. It's a natural antibiotic, and it's a very powerful antioxidant, which has anti-inflammatory benefits. So when you look in just the outside of this, like, why would this particular combination work between this? Again, there's no caffeine. There's just this flower and there's this fruit. And we say, well, why would it work? Well, they're using about a 400. I just want to let you know, if you're using the product, they're using a 400 milligram dosage, and they're using it for about 8 weeks, and they're getting about 8 pounds of weight loss. Okay, well, I say, well, that's pretty good. So we say, well, are there any side effects? Some side effects are some nausea, some stomach pain, and there also might be some blood thinning effect from the mangosteen. So we just want to make sure that if you have any risk of a bleeding-based disorder, or you're already on a warfarin, or you're on something that's going to thin out your blood, we want to be careful with this, especially not before surgery or anything like that. Or if you're in a sport where there's potential bleeding, we want to be a little bit careful. So when I look at this, I want to say this, is that yes, this herb and this fruit can be used to better regulate blood sugar. From an anti-inflammatory perspective, it doesn't look at like there's any stimulating-based, nervous system-based support in this, which is absolutely fantastic in and of its own right, and that it may be upping some adiponectin as well, which is its ability to upregulate fat burning in the body. So starting to use body fat as a preferential fuel source. So I don't have too much negative to say on that. I will say on the reviews though, some people get absolutely no results whatsoever. So they're quite disappointed by it. They say they get no results unless they obviously follow a nutrition plan, right? And this study was done. I just want you to know the study is done with following a nutrition plan as well. So a lot of people get 0 weight loss. Some get 3 pounds of weight loss over 2 months, which again, now we're going back to like 1/3 of a pound of weight loss per week. So nothing fantastic, nothing overwhelming, but not a product that I would necessarily say, oh, you can't try. I mean, like nothing wrong with trying it. In my opinion, for the short term, I certainly wouldn't do it for longer than the study, which was about 8 weeks. So if I'm wrapping this up, what are my recommendations? You can see that I'm not overly excited about any one product, right? Except caffeine. And again, I don't like to overuse caffeine, and I would only use it for the endomorphic body type, the larger body type, the larger calves, the rounder head, the more barrel-like upper body, the thicker body in general. Now, and that's just to stimulate that body. And if I were to use that, I would certainly use it before 1 o'clock during the day. And I would never recommend more than 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine per day. In my opinion, I would run a adrenal and hormone test before you use caffeine, because if you already have exaggerated levels of caffeine, or you have lower levels of DHEA and hormones, progesterone, because you've overstimulated your nervous system in the past, that's when I would not use caffeine. Okay, so that's one. Now, why am I not overexcited? Simply because I don't want people to waste their money. I want them to be doing healthy things first. I want them to always be thinking about long-term results. Long-term results are what you're going to be doing over the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, and you're certainly not going to be using a weight loss product for that long. But what I did show you was there are some benefits to the Garcinia Cambogia. There are some benefits to the green coffee bean extract. There are some benefits, obviously, to the hydroxycut, and that's because of the caffeine. There are actual health benefits to green tea extract, so I wouldn't shy away from using green tea. And there are some benefits to Meritrim as well, and that's what the product that I just spoke about with the fruit and the herbal-based benefits. Again, even being used all the way back in Ayurvedic times. So how would I use these? Well, this is what I would do. And I'll try to link these up in the show notes today to make it easier for you. Simply go to stephencabral.com/574. I will link up all of the products that I spoke about today. I will also link up my favorites, which I've used in my practice much more, which is simply blood sugar support. So I'm using products that help to better regulate blood sugar, and I'm also using something called the daily thyroid support. So my recommendations are the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol, which is the all-in-one. It's the greens powder and the probiotic. Now, if you don't want to use my brands, the Equilibrium Nutrition brand, totally fine, but that's what I'd recommend first. Next is I would recommend better regulate the adrenals with something like Support Adrenal or the HPA Adapt, and then I would use something like the Daily Thyroid Support. So I would definitely use that. That's going to give you more of a fat burning effect, because it's basically like food for your thyroid. It doesn't overstimulate your thyroid. It helps it to function better. And then I would use something called a blood sugar support product. That's what I would use. That's my tier 2. So tier 1, Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol. Tier 2, adrenal, thyroid, and blood sugar support. And then tier 3 are these fat burning supplements, such as the caffeine, the green tea extract, the hydroxycut, the Meritrim, and the green coffee bean, all of those ones. Now, those would be fine as tier 3, meaning like do the other healthy ones first. And then sure, if you want to try these out for anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks, absolutely. The ones that I named today, unless you're getting the side effects, which might be the loose stool, the increased anxiety, the insomnia, the dry mouth, all of those things. That just means when you get those things, it means it's pushed you too far into the sympathetic nervous system. Your nervous system is being stimulated too much. You absolutely need to cut back on the dosage or the amount of times you're using that during the day. Hopefully today's podcast was helpful. I tried to just make it kind of an all-in-one show where I gave you all the information I believe you needed to use. And in the future, I'm sure I'll be doing this in another 6 to 12 months as new products and new research comes out. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral Concept. Please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could help. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.